By the title of this video, I know what you're thinking. Why are you defending Wilhelm? Wilhelm's a terrible father. He's a terrible husband. Terrible everything. But let's take a look and say this. And I think he's a very misunderstood character in ReZero. Maybe the most misunderstood character besides his grandson Reinhard, and maybe Julius and Emilia, and maybe Rem. But let's look at it in a deeper perspective beyond what you've seen in Season 3 of the ReZero anime, and also if you have read the web novel and the light novel of Arc 5, a lot of people still hate Wilhelm. Let's just say this, that a lot of people say that Wilhelm is 90% of the problem and causes these issues with the Van Astria family. So the first part of the blame is that Heinkel blamed Wilhelm, his father, for killing Theresia when Wilhelm had nothing to do with it. Wilhelm and his wife, he loved Theresia so much, he was trying to avenge his loss, the death of Theresia, and he only challenged her to the duel because Theresia actually put him down, and he thought that Theresia was not meant for battle. She had the gift more than the hard-working effort compared to Wilhelm. If you know and watch the NBA, just like Kobe and Shaq. Shaq had the God gift ability. He already had the strength. He had the height. While Kobe, he was already good, but he also worked very hard. That's basically the comparison to Wilhelm and Theresia. And so with Theresia just putting them down and hardworking as Wilhelm was to be a craftsman, swordsman, he challenged her to the duel, and let's just say this, Wilhelm beat her, and they got married, and they shared their first kiss there, and he grew to love her more and more over the time. And tragically, that actually cut short because of Reinhard becoming the next sword saint, took the powers away, maybe the sword, and made her less strength, made her weak versus Pandora, and I think Pandora killed her. That is still a mystery. So Wilhelm actually blamed Reinhard. I can see why he did, but it was frustrations for sure, and blaming Reinhard was not the best idea. But also, Reinhard actually killed grandmother Theresia. Even though she was not real, it actually made Wilhelm very happy because it's been forever since he's seen Theresia, and this was the time to see her and get everything off his chest and not fight. And Reinhard just blankly just killed her, even though she was a fake, and he was like, "That's a fake. That was not real. I don't pity emotions. I do what is just right and just," making Reinhard look like a really bad guy. A lot of people think Reinhard, poor Reinhard, he's always right and a good guy. Did he really did it as a good person, genuinely, or did he do it just because that's his job? That's the big conflict of Reinhard. So Wilhelm really don't have a very good connection with Reinhard. I stated in multiple videos before with Reinhard and talking about the Van Astria family, and it seemed like Reinhard does not have no emotion besides his job. And it's kind of awkward between those two, but Wilhelm did enjoy the times in Arc 5 with Reinhard. But also with Heinkel, that everybody misunderstood Wilhelm. They blame him for creating Heinkel as a drunk father. Well, Heinkel was already getting drunk because of his wife's illness and coma, basically blaming Reinhard for putting his mama to sleep. And Heinkel really fears Reinhard like a monstrous figure. He brought nothing but bad misfortune to the family. He has like seated fear for Reinhard's power and the consequences of his strength, thinking that Reinhard actually is the one that caused all these tragedies. But Heinkel get hated by Wilhelm because he was supposed to go face Pandora, but instead he didn't, and so Theresia did, and that caused Reinhard to be born, taking away the Sword Saint abilities and basically decapitating her by Pandora. And also, another reason that Wilhelm hates Heinkel, he does some backdoor dealings with the bad guys, especially in Arc 9, while he stabbed his father in the back and fled off with the other members of the group with Wallachia. Then we go back to Reinhard. He doesn't really think about his family. He might feel pain about having the burden of his family, like what happened to his family, but he don't really think and have emotions on the outsides besides that, except for his job. Like, is it in the name of justice if it's right? not thinking about the feelings of everybody else, especially his grandpa, especially after killing Theresia. And it's just his job. Is it just a job, or he's not having feelings at all? Is he genuinely a good guy? I think he just does it based on his job. Especially, he did not show up with the white whale because it was not in his orders, so he never showed up. So I don't think he was a very good guy with the very much of general feelings for everybody else. He just does what he's told and just think about justice. So blaming Wilhelm for all the tragedies of what's going on with the Van Astria family, why it's so broken, it's shattered, and they took care of themselves as well. Reinhard, especially a Heinkel, having a wife and a kid, being a commander of the Royal Guard of Lugunica. So he had some responsibility he could have carried with the family. And Reinhard, besides the job, he could have spared people feelings. So throwing Wilhelm under the bus, being the main root of all the Van Astria problems, is pretty out there. But I do see some aspects of why he could be potentially all the root problems. But everybody in the family had some kind of problem that caused certain events to happen to the family. Let's just say that Wilhelm is misunderstood by a lot of people in the ReZero community. Let's just say that this family is one messed up family.